Welcome back. This video, as the title suggests, is going to be looking at peer counseling and the importance of balance and dichotomies. Dichotomies meaning things that appear to be opposites. And we're looking specifically at preferences within personality types. If you were to go online and look up Myers-Briggs or Kiersey-Bates or 16 personality types or temperament type analysis, some of those key buzzwords, you would see that there are 4 different areas that are often seen as dichotomies or opposites, when in fact they're really more complements in balance. This is my attempt to draw a seesaw in perfect balance. The seat that you sit on, little things that you hold on to with your hands, the fulcrum. I know I'm not much of an artist. But the E and the I is extroversion and introversion. It's where we derive our energy. Do we derive it by being with people, extroverted, or do we derive it by being alone and reflecting within ourselves, listening to music, reading, meditating? How do we gather information? Do we gather it through our 5 senses? That's the S. The N is intuition, because the I's already been taken. Our 5 senses, or by our gut. How do we like to take in the facts or information as we perceive it? Why are we processing this information? This is feelings and thinking. Are we doing it for the value of relationships, how other people feel about us and how we feel about them, or are we doing it for logic? And what is the goal of processing that information? This is judging and perceiving, or to make a decision, or to have a better understanding of the situation. This happens to be my wife's personality type, ESFJ. I am an INTP. Because there are 4 of these, there are 16 different personality types. We just happen to be complete opposites. Some of the ways this is important to you in peer counseling is, number 1, we need to realize that people often or always operate out of their preference. I say always, that's really a hasty generalization to say that. We tend to operate out of our preference. So if my wife likes to be with people, she's going to tend to seek out people. If I like to be alone to read or reflect or pray or meditate or listen to music, I'm going to tend toward alone time. But I'm in a people job, so I have to operate here even though I prefer to be here. That means working here a lot tends to drain me because I'm missing alone time. The same with all of these. But the first point is to realize that all of us tend to work out of our preference. And that will free you to see other people who are different from you, not as wrong or bad, but possibly a complement or a supplement to who you are. Because I can tell you, this is me and this is my wife. If my wife were exactly like me, what would this seesaw be like? It'd be sitting like that, right? Our lives would be very much out of balance. We would have very little relationship with anybody. We would ignore the facts because we'd both be intuitive. We'd never be concerned as much about how our decisions impact relationships because everything's about logic. And we'd have a whole lot of difficulty making decisions because we'd simply want to understand, to perceive. So having people in our lives who are different from us is very important. The second thing to realize is the more extreme the preference, the more difficult it is for us to see things from other people's perspective. Because if it's an extreme preference, we've poured a lot of time into that preference. We've poured a lot of money into that preference. We've poured a lot of energy and other resources into that preference. So if logic is very, very important to me, and I see that a decision I'm making about a family vacation is logical, it's fiscally prudent, it's time efficient, it hits all the right places on the way down and back, but nobody wants to go there or on the timeline that I have, the logic is not enough for a family vacation. There has to be a consideration of relationships. So we need to be aware that extremes in the preference make it more difficult for us to see others' perspective and them to see ours. And then thirdly, we need to know ourselves before we sit with others, so that if I know that logic is very, very important to me, and I'm sitting with somebody who is very emotional about relationships, then I'm not being critical of them I'm able to see, wow, this person is wonderfully different from me. I want to listen to them and learn from them and be helpful to them, but not condemn them for seeing the world and their relationships differently than I do. Okay? Does that make sense? So this is an introductory video just to realize that, and not everybody is the opposite, although we are attracted to people who are different from us because they bring something different to the table than we do. These are really not total opposites. They're complements for the sense of balance. Understand? Seesaw, balance. We need people who are different in our lives, and to be able to effectively counsel someone else, provide peer counseling, we need to know ourselves, respect differences, and to see that there can be complements or supplements in those differences to bring a greater sense of balance. Hope that makes sense. We'll get into more details on each of these in future videos. See you then.